Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging into a question that I think every single one of us has faced at our absolute lowest.
Mm.
And it's that question, where is God when everything goes wrong? You know that feeling? It's not just some philosophical thing. It's that heavy, terrifying moment, maybe at 3 in the morning, where you just feel utterly cut off.
Right. And for this deep dive, we've pulled together some sources, specifically a really powerful faith-based reflection that just radically challenges how we interpret that darkness.
Okay.
So instead of seeing suffering as, abandonment or some kind of divine punishment, this material defines it as an essential and, often painful phase of spiritual growth. It's not a termination point, it's an incubation period.
So our mission today is really to unpack this core metaphor that holds it all together, the seed and the gardener. We're here to figure out why that feeling of being buried is, in reality, a powerful act of being planted.
Exactly. Redefining suffering not as rejection, but as profound necessary position.
Okay, let's unpack this and try to find the gardener in the darkness.
Yeah.
So let's ground ourselves in that central analogy first. The seed. I mean, if you just imagine yourself as that tiny protected thing,
Mm-hmm.
and you're suddenly shoved into cold, heavy dirt, it just feels like the end. It's dark, it's suffocating, and you're completely cut off from the light.
It's the ultimate sense of betrayal. And if a seed could talk, it wouldn't be asking these complex theological questions, right?
Yeah.
It would just be screaming, why have I been buried? I was safe up there. What did I do to deserve this crushing, consuming darkness? I mean, that feeling of isolation is completely justified from the seed's perspective.
But this is the pivot. This is the moment where the source material asks us to step outside of that limited viewpoint
Yes.
and look through the eyes of the gardener. The gardener who designed this whole process, he knows the truth. This isn't a grave.
It's not a grave meant for death. It's an incubator. It's this rich environment that's absolutely necessary for transformation. You aren't being buried, you're being planted.
And this is where it addresses that core fear, that fear of abandonment.
Right. The sources are so clear on this. They say something like, God isn't missing in your darkest hour. He is in the dirt with you. But planting requires one really painful, non-negotiable step.
The breaking.
The breaking. Before that seed can become this mighty, resilient tree, it has to lose the hard, protective shell that kept it safe.
And that moment when the shell cracks, maybe it's a failure, a loss, a crisis, it feels like complete destruction, like you are literally falling apart.
Well, it feels like that because the shell served its purpose, but now it's actually limiting you. The source calls it the shell of ego, that hardened outer layer of self-reliance and control.
To the pressure we feel.
The pressure you feel is just the internal life, that light demanding to be released from the shell. The world calls it stress. The gardener calls it expansion.
But what stops the dirt from just rotting the seed away? I mean, if you're in the dirt, surrounded by all that pressure and moisture, what ensures the life inside actually survives?
That's the genius of the design. The material points to the nature of the seed itself. It references scripture that says we are born of incorruptible seed.
Incorruptible.
Which is a huge distinction. I mean, think about it like this. If you drop a pure gold ring into a giant pile of mud, the mud can cover it, it can get it dirty, weigh it down.
Sure.
But the mud can't change the gold's nature. The gold is incorruptible.
So the circumstance, the dirt, the heavy mood, the financial crash, it can cover your core, but it can't consume it. It can't fundamentally change who you are because the life inside is built to withstand.
Exactly. The pressure only forces the shell to break open, which releases that incorruptible life. And here's where it gets really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Because once that life is released, the darkness is basically powerless against it. And this takes us to the nature of light itself. The source looks at that statement, the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not.
Right.
So the darkness, which is defined here as, a state of blindness, a lack of understanding, it literally cannot grasp the power of the seed's life once it's released.
Because it can't understand it, it can't extinguish it.
It can't extinguish it. You're designed to outlast the night because the life inside you is incorruptible, and it's stronger than the circumstance around you.
Okay, so having the light is one thing, but a seed doesn't grow in dry dirt. It needs water. If the dirt is the circumstance and the seed is the soul, the material defines water as communication with God.
Prayer, worship, reading the foundational texts.
Yeah. And here's where we hit the painful reality. Most people, when they feel abandoned, they stop communicating.
Oh, it's the first thing to go. A tragedy hits, and the first thing you do is shut down prayer. You avoid reading anything spiritual. You essentially starve the seed, saying, I'll talk to God when I feel better.
But the advice in this material is completely counterintuitive.
Mm.
It says that communication, that prayer,
Yeah.
that's the moisture you need right now.
It doesn't just nourish, it actually softens the ego's hard shell, which allows for the spiritual breakthrough. You can't just wait for the darkness to pass. You have to water the seed, even when it feels completely pointless.
So the natural question then is, if he's the father of lights, why is he down here in the dark dirt with me?
And the source tackles this head on by quoting a promise that says, I will be with him in trouble. And the emphasis there is critical. He didn't say he'd watch you from a safe distance.
Above the dirts.
Right. Said, I will be with thee in trouble. He's in the heavy soil with you, holding the earth together while you're breaking open.
So growth, from this perspective, is it's defined by that constant communication with the gardener. Whether you're angry, heartbroken, it doesn't matter. You're soaking up what you need to survive. That kind of shifts our focus then.
Yeah.
It moves away from feeling totally isolated and into this profound sense of connection. So if we're doing our part, if we're watering the seed, what should we be listening for?
Well, the source claims that if we can consciously tune out the static of pain, we can actually hear something else.
A celebration.
A celebration. Heaven is never silent.
And that changes our whole definition of peace, doesn't it? We think
Yeah.
of peace as quiet, like a silent retreat.
Right. But the source argues the peace of God isn't the absence of sound, it's the presence of loud, overwhelming glory. So even if everything around you is chaotic, your soul can rejoice because it knows it's not facing the battle alone.
And the picture the material paints of this sound it's incredible. It talks about us being compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses.
And this isn't some quiet gathering in the stands. This is a massive, thick crowd surrounding the atmosphere, just yelling and cheering for us, witnessing our race through the hard times.
But the crowd is only one part of the noise.
The source gets into the actual sounds circling the throne, these creatures who are shouting, holy, 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 and they don't rest.
And why that constant repetition?
The suggestion is that they see a new facet of God's goodness and perfection every single time they circle the throne. So the praise is always fresh, always increasing in volume and depth.
That incredible, loud, glorious light. It brings us back to the most critical question. Where does the suffering come from?
Exactly. If God is pure light and celebration, why is there darkness? And the source uses that text about him being the father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning.
Which means?
What's fascinating here is the absolute clarity. The darkness, the trouble, the suffering you're in right now, it does not originate from him. He has no shadow. He doesn't inflict pain to teach a lesson.
And this is the key insight.
This is the key insight.
Yeah.
While the darkness doesn't come from him, the darkness must bow to him. He's the master who can look at the chaos in your life and command it to serve your highest purpose.
So wait, if the enemy is trying to bury the seed, the source is implying that the gardener can use the very act of burial itself to serve the planting.
Yes, it's like this terrifyingly efficient kind of cosmic recycling. He never wastes a wound. He takes the evil that was meant for you and uses it, essentially turning the enemy's own actions into a shovel to plant you deeper into his purpose.
The trauma wasn't the lesson.
The survival is the testimony. And this is such a crucial point because the source argues we often make suffering into an idol. We fall into this trap of believing God directly sent the terrible thing, the accident, the disease, the assault, to teach us something.
Which the material says contradicts the character of Jesus. And even worse, it makes people stop praying.
That makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Why would you pray against a sickness if you believe God sent it to you? It just removes all your agency.
So if God isn't causing the harm, how does the material explain the source of the chaos?
It uses the concept of delegated dominion. We look at the statement that the heaven are the Lord's, but the earth hath he given to the children of men.
He gave mankind authority over the earth.
Right. And because he's a God of integrity, he won't just break that covenant. So harm happens when people use their free will for evil, or when the devil uses those who yield their will to him.
Okay, so men's choices in spiritual evil create the chaos. What is God doing then? The source describes him as constantly fighting to get to us. What does that even look like?
The material uses that powerful, classic example of Daniel. Daniel prayed, and the text says the answer was sent immediately.
Immediately.
But the angel carrying that answer was withstood for 21 days by a spiritual force, the prince of the kingdom of Persia. God's messenger was fighting sustained resistance just to deliver the answer.
Wow. So So for the listener who prayed yesterday and still hasn't seen anything,
It could mean the answer is already on its way. It's just encountering conflict we can't see.
and God is constantly trying to prevent trauma in the first place.
Constantly. He's that still small voice that broadcasts warnings, the feeling that told you not to take that road, that strong intuition about a person.
The unexpected phone call that pulls you out of a bad situation.
Exactly. And when prevention fails, which it does because of free will, the material says he immediately shifts to damage control. He cushions the blow. He ensures that even though the weapon was formed, it didn't prosper.
The scars you carry aren't proof that God left you.
They're proof that the darkness couldn't finish the job. He made sure you survived to become a testimony.
So that brings us to our role in all of this.
Yeah.
If we're planted, watered, and protected, what are we supposed to be doing right now? Let's define the good fight of faith.
Yeah, the source argues this term is really misunderstood. It is not fighting the devil. I mean, the material is clear that victory was won at Calvary. The enemy is defeated.
So what's in the fight?
The fight of faith is the daily mental struggle to believe that the victory is already won. It's the fight to keep your heart anchored in the spiritual facts, even when your physical eyes, your bank account, are telling you it's over.
So the real battlefield,
Yeah.
it isn't our circumstance. It's between our ears.
It's between our ears. The enemy knows he can't touch the incorruptible spirit, so he attacks the mind. The imagination. He plants these destructive scenarios of doom.
And that's where the strategy of spiritual warfare comes in. Casting down imaginations and bringing into captivity every thought.
Right. The source compares this to having some unwelcome, destructive stranger who keeps trying to sit on your living room couch. You have to actively, deliberately kick those thoughts out of the room of your mind and shut the door.
And the secret weapon for winning that mental fight. According to this, it's not logic, it's joy.
And not happiness. It makes that distinction. Happiness is a reaction to good circumstances. Joy is a conscious, active defiance of bad ones.
The joy of the Lord is your strength.
That's it. The enemy's main goal is to make you heavy and depressed, because if you lose your joy, you lose your spiritual strength. When you find a reason to laugh in the face of lack or praise in the face of pain, you are profoundly confusing the enemy.
And the final part of the strategy is so simple, having done all. Stand.
Just stand. Plant your feet on the rock, trusting you're fighting from victory, not for it, and you just refuse to move.
So what does this all mean for you right now?
Hmm.
This deep dive really does deliver a powerful shift in perspective. The core message is that trouble isn't a sign of rejection, it's just positioning. That crushing pressure you feel is simply the process needed to release the incorruptible life inside you, a light the darkness literally cannot comprehend or extinguish.
And for anyone who really feels that weight of the dirt right now, the source includes a call to action. It's a prayer for those who want to commit to being planted and trusting the gardener.
And it offers this immense reassurance.
Yeah, it refers to God as the cardio knower, or as we might say, the heart knower. He knows if your request is authentic, even if you can't get the words out because of the weight of your circumstances.
So here's the final thought from this material for you to chew on this week, and it builds on this idea of identity. The source recommends that every time you pay attention to the foundational word, you're absorbing parts of the gardener's identity into your own heart. You're getting familiar with his voice and his nature.
Okay.
So if your seed is already incorruptible, how can continually paying attention to the word change your capacity, your ability to withstand pressure, even if you're not in a dark hour right now? Think about that concept of identity absorption and preparation as you move forward.